Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, welcome to Be My Guest. This is Jan Lewis. Today we have from Shrewsbury, we have a gentleman that I have known off and on through the years. His name is Spencer Schwartz, and he is a volunteer at UMass Memorial Medical Center. And for those of you who go there, you're going to recognize his face. He is there. You're there on Fridays? Is it Fridays or?
Well, now Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay, Tuesdays and Fridays. When you come in from the parking lot, usually he's right there at the Ask Me desk. And boy, you can ask him too. He'll know where to send you if you get lost. I have seen you, though, up in the lobby. That's where I used to do Ask Me. And it gets cold in that lobby. Do you ever what do you do to stay warm in the garage area?
I wear typically about 2 or 3 layers of clothes.
Yeah.
You know, light clothes, but
yeah, definitely.
Layers.
Spencer, you're in Shrewsbury. Where were you from originally?
Originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, that's why his emails.
As if you can't tell from my accent.
What brought you here?
Business, of course.
Yeah. What were you doing?
I was always in the computer industry.
Yeah.
I started in 1957, which is really before the industry was an industry, if you will.
Yeah.
I came out of the Army. I needed a job, and fortunately, IBM at that time was hiring because they knew what was coming.
Yeah.
You know. And anyway, so I got into the industry. At that time, the only computers were these monsters.
Yeah.
There were maybe a handful throughout the country because they were vacuum tubes. They weren't transistors.
Yeah.
You know, and about 1960 or so, that's when the transistor came out. And so then the computers, which were vacuum tubes, and they gave off so much heat that the refrigeration units were bigger than the computers themselves. You know, I mean, that's why only a handful of companies could afford the computers.
Yeah.
But once the transistor came out, then relatively small computers were available for average businesses.
Was it hard for you to make the transition?
Oh, no, not at all. You know, I was 21
Yeah.
at the time, and you could handle anything at 21.
So when you got out of high school, did you have any idea you'd go into computer?
None whatever. When I got out of high school, I started college.
Where'd you go?
Brooklyn College.
Brooklyn? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a pre-med student.
You were pre-med?
Pre-med,
No
yes.
wonder he's over at UMass.
And I was pre-med, and however, I was 16 years old in college.
How did you, brainy?
No, you have to understand the times. This was right after World War II, when all the baby boomers came, like yourself.
And your kids, right?
Right, that's right, and my kids.
Yeah.
So the schools were flooded with kids, so they tried to push out all of the older kids as quickly as possible.
Why? Because of
they
space?
didn't have room. The schools.
I didn't know that.
We had double session.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we had double session. My wife, myself, same thing. We went mornings and afternoons because they didn't have enough room for everybody.
Yeah.
So what happened was in elementary school, I was skipped twice. And in high school, I graduated in 3.5 years.
But isn't that kind of hard on the kid if you're skipping them? I know I wouldn't have done well if they pushed me ahead too far.
Kids can adapt so easily, you know.
Really?
It was nothing. And, you know, I had so many Regent credits.
Yeah.
To get into college in New York, you have to pass Regents exams.
Yeah.
And I had so many credits, you know, in 3.5 years, they just pushed me out into college. So at 16, I was in college, and I wasn't ready for college.
Pre-med, right? Pre-med?
You know, that didn't matter. It's just I wasn't ready for the college life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really hated it at that time. The Korean War was still on at that time. And a lot of my friends, I shouldn't say a lot, some of my friends, like myself, you know, we couldn't get jobs because we were 1A for the draft, right? And we really didn't like college, so you know, I dropped out after about 2 or 3 months. Okay, and I tried to get a job, and there were no jobs available. I mean, good jobs.
Yeah.
So when I hit 18, I volunteered for the draft.
Yeah.
And I went in the Army.
Where did you go overseas?
Yeah, it was in Germany for 13 months.
Wow.
And I had a great time. I was a...
You liked it?
Oh, it was great. It was, first of all, I was a peacetime soldier.
Yeah.
Even though I went in during the Korean War, it was at the very end.
Yeah.
And the war had already stopped. The fighting had stopped.
Yeah.
And technically, I'm a Korean War veteran and also a Vietnam veteran.
You went to Nam.
No, I didn't. Because I was in for 2 years,
Yeah.
from the end of 54 until the end of 56.
Yeah.
That makes me technically
Okay.
a Korean veteran and also a Vietnam veteran. But I was a peacetime soldier.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
You had a great, and you were there 13 months
And
in Germany.
13 months in Germany, right? Because I was the first 2 months were basic training, like
Yeah.
everybody else, and then I spent 6 months in Fort Devens, Massachusetts, in school.
Yeah.
They trained me, so I didn't go overseas until I had almost a year in the army.
Yeah.
And then I spent 13 months in Germany.
Germany.
Then I went on leave to Paris and England.
Whoa, you
and,
saw a lot.
Denmark, I had a great time.
So when you came home to Brooklyn, right?
Came home, oh yeah.
What were you going to do then?
I didn't have the faintest idea.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
All I knew was I was out of the army. Like all my friends,
Yeah,
we
right.
all went in together.
Yeah.
We all came out together, and I had no idea. And it just happened that IBM was hiring, and I had no idea what I was even
do?
going down for. I went down and I was interviewed and I was hired, and then I found out that at that time, as I say, it was before the computer industry. It was then accounting machines. All they did was add and subtract.
Yeah, those little machine gadgets.
No, these were huge machines.
You used the big ones. Okay.
Yeah, right. But they processed IBM cards. Of course, nobody knows what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah.
But all the data at that time were in punched cards. They were cards about this size.
Yeah.
And they were 80 columns across, and they had all this data punched into them.
Yeah.
And the machines processed.
Did you have to
The
punch in
data.
the data, or did the secretaries?
No. Those are the operators.
The
did
secretary,
that.
the keyboard punching. Was it something-
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The key punch operators.
Key punch. Yeah.
Right,
okay.
that's where it started, and then went through all the other machines, reproducers and collators and adding machines, And I worked for IBM. We repaired the machines when the machines broke down.
Was that hard to do?
I don't know.
But you just took to it, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You took.
Well, I was mechanically inclined, obviously,
Yeah.
because I took a battery of tests. In fact, the same tests that I passed for IBM, I also passed in the Army. I was a
Oh.
radio operator in the Army.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
The hand
Morse,
radio?
Morse code.
Morse code.
Yeah.
So you knew all the typing things that you did with the code.
Yeah, right. We took, I was a high-speed Morse intercept operator. it was
So
called.
when did it come in that you finally didn't have as many of the big machines? It began to downsize.
Well, as I say, in 1957, when I was first hired, there were only a handful of machines because they were so big, they were so enormous. The average business couldn't afford those machines.
Yeah.
But then in 1960 or 61, that's when the transistor
Yeah.
came into being, and the machines, just so people understand, the machines were about the size of 2 refrigerators.
Oh, gee.
If you think, 2 refrigerators
It's
side
so
by side.
different now.
Yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't believe the laptop that you have, that I have, that
Yeah.
everybody has,
Yeah.
right? The laptop, just one of the laptops today, yours,
Yeah.
has more storage capability than all of the computers in 1960 in the world put together.
Who would
You
think?
can't believe that, but it's absolutely true.
And you were seeing all of this evolve. Okay, so now we're down to but to refrigerator size. How long did that last?
Maybe 10 years or so, and then it started gradually getting smaller and smaller. And every time that the machines got smaller, they also threw out more heat.
Oh, I didn't know. I
So,
would
yeah,
think
people,
the opposite.
See, people don't. Yeah, people
Yeah,
don't realize,
yeah.
how much heat the old computers threw out.
Yeah.
And they still do. Like, you still have a little fan
Yeah.
in your laptop, but it doesn't nowhere near the heat that the old machines had. First, as I say, there were vacuum tubes, and then they were transistors, and then went to integrated circuits. And every
Circuit board,
time,
yeah.
and every time, a new technology came out, they got smaller and smaller, and less heat and less heat.
I can relate to this because I think in the 70s or 80s, when I got my first job as a secretary, we were dealing with companies that did PC circuit boards.
Yeah.
That was the sales thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Sure.
And is that still going on, or is it no more?
Well, the laptops, they have a PC, a motherboard it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still have a motherboard in there.
They still have that.
Oh yeah, of course. That's the heart of the laptop or any computer.
Well, we're talking with Spencer Schwartz, and he is a volunteer at UMass Memorial Medical Center, and he's just sharing right now with us the background he has had in computer working and how he came out from high school, the Army. He went to college for a little while, went to the Army, stayed in Germany 13 months, and then when he came out, what am I going to do? IBM was hiring, and he says, I think I'll try it. And you went in, and he's sharing with us how he saw the computer morph up. Now we're up to the size of a refrigerator. Now what happened?
Well, as I say, every time they came out with a new technology, the transistor and then the IC, it got smaller and smaller, allowing the computers to get smaller and smaller. IBM came out with the 1401 in around 1960 or 61, and that was the transistorized version.
Was that when the transistor radios came out?
Yeah, around the same time.
Okay, so when I was in my late whatever, we began to have transistor radios we
Right.
listened to, and that was a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, this is hard to believe, I know, but around 1972, 73, they came out with the first handheld calculator.
Wow.
Before then, it was an adding machine. All you could do was add and subtract.
Yeah, they were chunky
And
too.
they were big things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then they came out with this, and I remember it cost $10, and I was amazed at this little thing I could hold in my hand.
Yeah.
That it could not only add and subtract, but it could multiply and divide.
Yeah,
Because before then they were all mechanical, and this was electronic.
right.
I remember it cost $10. And boy, I went out and I bought one immediately. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe what a wonder this thing.
Yeah, little did you know it was coming down the pike. Everybody's like this
Exactly.
now. Yeah.
And around the same time, around 1975, one of our customers told me about the World Wide Web. Now, he didn't give it a name,
Yeah.
and I couldn't understand at the
Yeah.
time
Yeah, right.
what the World Wide Web would do to the world,
Right.
because he told me about his son, that his son was into this, and it would be able to share data
Mm-hmm.
with people around the world, that if you wanted to know something, like instead of, we used to use encyclopedias,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The old Britannica thing my parents brought.
yeah, we had these huge books, I had a
the
shelf
whole
full of
thing.
books, right.
Oh, the
Exactly.
salesman sold them the whole. Yeah, I know.
So, he was telling me that instead of like going to the encyclopedia to get information, you'd be able to enter, in the computer. And
This was 1975.
This is 1975.
Yeah.
This is way before the World Wide Web ever hit.
Yeah.
And so he was explaining to me that all you'd have to do is like ask a question for somebody, and somebody around the world, a professor at a university or whatever, would be able to answer and give you the information.
Did that really blow you away when you heard that?
And well, I couldn't comprehend
Yeah.
what he was talking about. I
Right.
really couldn't.
Yeah.
Of course, anybody watching this now is laughing at what I'm saying.
No, a lot of people will relate to you because they were back then and they didn't
Well,
know.
yeah, but the kids born today,
Oh, they're born with this in their hand.
my grandkids. My oldest one is 27, and my youngest is 10.
Yeah.
I have 5 in all.
5.
Anyway, they, listening to this is ridiculous. Of course you're going to sit down and
Sure.
and
Yeah.
get any bit of information you want, from anywhere in the world.
So that was 1975. You were just getting a hint of what the World Wide Web was. How soon did it happen after that you began?
I'd say it's tough to say. I'm trying to remember. I think I had in my home our first desktop computer, and it really wasn't a commercial, one that like you would have.
Yeah.
It was because I was in the computer industry.
It had that big back to
So
it.
yes, right. It was like a I don't know how to describe the size. It would be about
An
this
elephant.
big. Yeah, about this
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
big, about this high.
Yeah.
And it sat on a desk, and it had a handle I could carry it. you know,
Yeah.
and it was strictly, this was for businesses, this was not for the home.
Yeah.
Only I had one in my house because I was in the business.
You were still with IBM.
No, I was actually with another company, a similar company
Yeah,
to IBM.
yeah.
Anyway, so I had this thing, and the beauty of it was that I could program it. See, originally the programs were very, very complex, and you had to be a very experienced programmer because it was COBOL or Fortran. Those are the languages.
Yeah, that I don't.
You know,
yeah.
of course, nobody knows what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But those were the Fortran was the scientific language.
Right.
COBOL was the business language.
Okay.
And the average person would not be able to
Relate to
program.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when they came out with the desktop computers,
Yeah.
they also came out with a language. It was actually Dartmouth University.
Yeah.
It was called Dartmouth Basic, BASIC. Okay, and then the company I worked for developed its own version of BASIC,
Yeah.
and it was so easy to program because it used ordinary words.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to print, you said print.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you wanted to move something, you say move.
Yeah.
You know,
All you do is hit it, right? Hit the-
exactly. And so I got into programming, you know, and originally, as I said, I repaired computers, but then I got into the programming end.
And actually, the program, you were working your way up.
Well,
Yeah.
if you will.
Oh, definitely.
yeah, okay.
How
And-
long were you with IBM?
It was almost 10 years.
And
with
then
IBM.
after that,
And
with
then I was with a company called MAI,
Yeah.
Management Assistance Incorporated, which was actually a spin-off. When I say a spin-off, some ex-IBMers got together and formed this company called MAI.
Were you one of them, or
And
you just you joined them?
No,
Okay.
I just joined them
You joined
later on. And we basically did the same thing. You know, we got
Yeah.
into, you know, first repairing machines,
Yeah.
and then I got into the programming of it. And then they had another company called Basic 4. And again, the word basic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basic keeps coming.
you know,
Yeah.
relates to the language
Right.
basic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started to work for Basic 4. We were the same company.
Mm-hmm.
MAI had two companies, Sorbus and Basic 4.
Right.
Sorbus was the repair end, and Basic 4 was the sales and programming end.
How long before they began to hit the big time, where everything really super changed?
Well, once, as I say, once they started Basic 4,
Yeah.
that's when they got into the real, that's when they really grew,
Yeah.
because as they grew, the computers got smaller.
Yeah.
As the computers got smaller, they grew.
Yeah.
One way, you know.
And you were with them right till you retired, right?
Yes, pretty much, yes.
Now, again, we are talking with Spencer Schwartz, and he is a volunteer at UMass Memorial Medical Center.
Which
I-
we haven't spoken about.
We're going to. We're going to get to. I just wanted to sort of get everybody get a feeling for this man. Now, what brought you into volunteering at UMass?
Well, when I hit 72, which was 9 years ago,
Yeah.
I'm 81.
Just a kid.
Just a kid. Right. when I hit 72, the company I was with retired me.
Yeah.
They said, you know, your services are no longer wanted.
All right.
Exactly. And, you know, I, of course, didn't blame them, you know, because,
But you didn't want to leave, though. You're too young.
oh, of
72.
course,
Yeah, yeah.
I would still be working
Yeah,
if
definitely.
they
Yeah.
let me,
Sure.
you know. But actually, I had cut down my hours. I wasn't working 40 hours anymore.
Yeah.
I was working about 36 or
Okay.
whatever.
That's still a lot.
And yeah, so they said goodbye, and I said goodbye. I got a box and put my stuff in the box and walked out.
Yeah. You were thinking, now what am I going to do?
And yeah, exactly. You know, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because I'm fortunately healthy. I was healthy.
This
you know.
man works out. You play baseball.
Softball.
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 You just played softball this morning.
Yeah, I
Did your
did.
team win?
No, it was, we're only practicing.
Oh, okay.
The season is over.
Okay.
But we don't want to give up.
No.
You know, running around.
No.
So we practiced this morning.
Yeah.
And we wore a lot of layers of clothes and gloves, but we still practiced.
You still practice?
Yeah.
Okay, now.
So, okay. So I retired. I was retired. And I said, what am I going to do? And my wife had retired a couple of years previously. And she was volunteering her time at the senior center in Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
And also, she read to kids in school. She worked in the library.
Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she
definitely.
volunteered. So she said, why don't you volunteer? And I said, that sounds good. So I looked around for places to volunteer. And first I
Right.
went to the VA.
Yeah.
and they were just opening up a facility in Shrewsbury, but they weren't quite ready
That's
yet.
the one on Lincoln Street.
No, not that one. It's on South Street in
I
Shrewsbury.
haven't seen that.
No, it's a VA facility.
I think they're moving up closer to UMass. I've heard that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went there first, and they weren't ready yet. And then the next place I went was UMass.
Yeah.
And I went to Jody Cornetta,
Yeah. I read Jody.
who runs the volunteer services program. And I said, hey, I'd like to volunteer. She said, great. And I've been there ever since.
And did you choose where you're on?
No. That's where she stuck me.
She put you there.
She
Now
put
you
me
got,
there.
okay, for those of you who have been there or haven't been there, when you go to UMass, it's called the ACC building.
Correct.
But the parking garage is attached to it. So when you come out, park your car, go out through the little door, there sits our friend Spencer. And he's either I've seen you over actually in the ACC entrance.
Yes.
Or you're freezing over in the spaces in the lobby there with all the elevators. And you wear how many layers of clothing at winter?
Sometimes three layers of clothing.
Oh.
Well, I wear like, excuse me. I'll wear an undershirt with long sleeves.
Yeah.
And then I'll wear a light. I don't know what you call it. A light jacket, and then the jacket that the hospital.
I've got one or two of those. Nice fleece.
Yeah, the fleece.
They're beautiful. Yeah.
So I wear like 2 fleeces and one undergarment, and that's warm enough.
You're warming up. Did you?
Yeah.
I don't ever see you with a hat though.
No, you're not supposed to wear a hat.
Even if well, they got the emergency room there. If your ears start falling off, you can always go over there.
Oh, perhaps.
You must have some horrendous, funny and not so funny stories.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us some of those.
Oh, let's see. Well, some of the questions I get, of course I'm there to help people find, where they want to go.
It's a big place.
Yeah, because, it is. There's so
I know
many
my way around it with no problem.
Yeah, because it's basically 3 hospitals, plus there's a research center, several research centers.
And Life Flight.
And,
You got everything.
So, typically people ask me, where is mammography, where is cardiac, endocrinology, and I point them to that, or they'll say, I'm here to visit somebody, and I'll tell them how to get, to who they want to see.
Yeah.
But then I have a lot of, humorous questions too, because typically the people are in good spirits.
Oh yeah, I used to get that a lot.
These aren't, sick people. These
Ask
are people,
me, like, what's the lottery number?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
That's probably the most frequently asked questions. What's the lottery number?
what's the lottery number?
And I always write down something.
Yeah,
And give
you
it-
did you?
Oh, I always do. And I always tell them, that if they win, they have to give me 10%.
Do they take you seriously?
I don't know. Nobody's ever come back. I don't know if they've ever won or not.
No, it's some of the things are like, I don't know, being a woman and everything, I would get some, well, we'll just leave it at that, some interesting invitations.
No, I've never been propositioned by anybody, man or woman.
Well, they were polite. I mean, everybody, people are coming in there, they're either coming to see a person who's in there. Some didn't even know where the emergency room was.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had that too?
Oh, sure, many times.
You gotta tell them it's across the other way.
Right, many times. And of course, a lot of times they have an appointment at the Benedict Building.
Yeah.
Or, of course, the main hospital, which is the Remoulade Family Pavilion.
Yeah.
Right.
And the ACC where you are.
And the ACC building, naturally. And then they ask other kind of questions. They'll ask, what's the square root of 582? Silly things.
Are you serious?
But then sometimes people will ask me the meaning of life, and I have several answers for them. It depends how I feel and how I think they feel.
Oh my God, you've had a lot thrown at you.
Oh yeah, but I give them good answers. I have a very good answer for the meaning of life.
What's the meaning of life?
Do you have about 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a baseball player. His name was Bo Belinsky.
Yeah.
He played for the Los Angeles Angels in the 1970s. And he was a pitcher. He was an excellent pitcher, but he didn't take his health seriously.
Yeah.
Like instead of working out and staying in, sleeping and stuff like that, he ran around with Hollywood starlets.
Yeah.
This is true. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
And he ran around with Hollywood starlets. One was Mamie Van Doren.
Yeah.
You may not know
I've
her.
heard,
but,
I remember the name.
Anyway,
not- yeah.
She was one of the blondes,
Yeah.
typical starlets. Anyway, so he ran around a lot. He always went to nightclubs and he drank, and he was the darling of the sports writers, because he always gave them a lot to write about. Anyhow, consequently, because he didn't take care of himself, he didn't last very long. He lasted about 7 years.
70? That was it?
Seven.
7 years, yeah, baseball, yeah.
I mean, he was an excellent pitcher.
Yeah.
He pitched a no-hitter.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so when he retired, one of the sports writers asked him if he had any regrets,
Yeah.
and he said no. He said the only thing he feels sorry for are all the guys who never heard the music. And that's the meaning of life. You got to hear the music.
That is good. That is really good. And you tell people, what's their reaction when you tell them?
Some people, smile. Other people, think it's very deep.
Yeah.
And then I have another answer too.
Yeah, what's that?
42 is the meaning of life. 42.
42.
Yeah. But to understand it, because you don't understand it, okay, you have to read the trilogy called A Hitchhiker's Guide
To the Galaxy. I've heard of that. Okay.
You have to read that.
Now, but before, we've got about 5 minutes left,
Okay.
Spencer. Anybody out there who's interested in volunteering over at UMass, how would they go about doing it? Could they connect with you?
Okay. Well, first of all, of course, they can, when they walk into the hospital after parking their car.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's right.
Go to the valet.
It may take a long time to find the parking spot. But if you do find the parking spot, you can go to any volunteer, or if you can't find a volunteer, which is really rare, if you go to the information desk in the Remoulade Family Pavilion and ask for volunteer services, okay, they'll send you down to the B level of the Remoulade Family Pavilion, and the person to contact is Jody Cornetta. Okay, and she's the one who will give you the forms to fill out, and if you're accepted, she'll assign you a spot.
I remember going in there, that B level, there's the main A and B.
Right.
And I remember when I had radiation therapy many, many years ago, it's still on B level.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to find the volunteer. It's tucked behind there. Don't be afraid to ask us. Kind of you go along the corridor, and they'll help you get around and find it.
Well, there is a sign. There are signs that say.
It's a cute little place, and you even get a little meal ticket.
Absolutely, you get free parking,
Yep.
and you get a meal ticket worth $6.
Yes, which helps.
It doesn't cover very much, but
It helps. It really. I remember when I worked right there in the front lobby. Now, Spencer does the Ask Me primarily in the do you call it the lobby of the garage, or what do you call it?
well, it's outside the ACC building.
Okay, and they've got a lot of departments in that ACC building.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
These.
Right, yeah.
So I got tucked into the. I liked the location, the front lobby. I mean, everybody comes in. They came in droves. I remember one family was Middle Eastern, and I don't think they could speak English. And part of my job was also to find them an interpreter. If somebody came in, I mean, they were just ready to tear their hair out. I said, "It's okay, it's fine. We'll find you some." It took about an hour because we have tons of interpreters. But I think he was so busy they had to, wait till he got there. It was wonderful. By the time he got there, they were so grateful. They really were. But it's amazing how many interpreters are over there.
Oh, yeah.
Any language you can think of.
Right.
Most of us it wouldn't dawn on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it's true.
I had a woman who spoke Swahili. That's all she spoke.
And
Swahili.
how did you could connect with each other?
Through sign language.
Okay.
Basically, but
Hospital age.
my wife and I, we traveled quite a bit, and we went to Kenya.
You went to
were in
Kenya?
So I said to her, "Jumbo."
Jumbo?
Jumbo.
What's that mean?
Hello.
Oh.
It's a greeting in Swahili.
So did she want to know how to get to the hospital, main hospital?
No, actually, she had already been in the hospital. She wanted a taxi. She wanted somebody to call a taxi for her.
How did you know that's what she wanted?
Again, it was sign language.
Sign language.
Yeah.
And you got a taxi for her?
Yeah.
It is a League of Nations over there.
Absolutely.
It is amazing. And they have, as you come in, they got flags like from the different countries and
sure.
all the. I think in the roundabout you come in, they have hello or welcome in all the different languages.
In fact, one of the professors that I had at Worcester State University, he teaches Arabic. He's one of the interpreters. He's on call all the time. If he gets a call, he'll run down to the
I
hospital.
wonder if he was the gentleman that came that day.
His name is, he's a professor. Professor Brahimi, his name is.
Kind of heavy set, very nice.
Yeah, he's not too tall. He's
Yeah.
about maybe 5'5",
Yeah.
but stocky.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could have been the gentleman. Spencer, thank you so much. Again, if you want to volunteer over at UMass Memorial, it can be a lot of fun. And believe me, it's all ages. I see the kids in there my son's age, younger.
Oh, yeah. In fact, one of my grandsons volunteered there.
He's there still?
Not now. No, he's in college now. But
Yeah.
After he graduated high school, between high school and starting college,
Yeah.
he volunteered.
And you don't have to wear, girls, if you don't want to wear, I think some of the older ladies do, but if you don't want to wear that peach-colored old smock, right, you get a nice, sharp red shirt, right?
Oh yes.
It's really up to date. So, everybody, and then you can recognize each other because you got the red shirt on, except that the valets have red. So when I was just beginning, I
Yeah.
thought, that's a valet. Thanks so much, Spencer, for being
You're
on.
welcome.
What a inspiration here. So again, if you want to volunteer, connect with the volunteer department over at UMass, and I think you'll enjoy yourself. Lots of places you can be. You can select the emergency room. Really, they can need your help. Be right out front. The whole thing. We'll see you next time and be my guest.